This is the Road Report with Steve Milton, presented by Hercules Tire.
This is Road Report on Ticats Audio Network. In Ottawa, I'm Steve Milton. Well, the Ticats season ends here against the Redblacks tomorrow night, and as the head coach and team leaders have been saying for a couple of weeks now, they want to go out on a high with some sustainable momentum heading into next year. But there are some personal statistical milestones at stake, but the priority is winning. So hopefully the big milestones, and I'll get to those in a minute, are also met. Secondarily, the Ticats would like to give backup quarterback Taylor Powell a well-deserved opportunity to play, although that's not written in stone, and they'd like to get a look at a potential kick-punt returner for the future, but those will also take a backseat to winning, so the club can head into the offseason sunset, having won 6 of their last 7 games. We'll hear from Scott Milanovich on the only roster change going into this game, and that in itself is a recognition of the desire to win, trumping the desire to look at some new faces who've been practicing with the team. Milanovich will also address the signing of kicker Marc Liegghio to a 2-year contract extension, and Liegghio himself will describe what that means to him, and you can gather that means a lot. So the Ticats beat the Redblacks. They finish in 8-10 for the third straight year and land just 1 point behind Ottawa, which of course will bring back painful memories of a last-second loss in Ottawa in late June and a couple of other narrow decisions which went against the Ticats earlier in the year. Now, for their part, the Redblacks will be hungry and anxious to avoid their 6th straight loss, a slide that began with a loss to Hamilton, as they head into next weekend's division semifinal in Toronto. Quarterback Drew Brown is coming off a 400-yard game in a wild defeat in Toronto, although a lot of that came in a stupendous fourth-quarter surge. Like Hamilton last week, they want to make a good and fast impression on their final home crowd of the season. They have an elite receiving corps with the likes of Braylon Addison, Jalen Ackland, Dominique Rhymes, Khalil Pimpleton, and Devontae Dedman, but also need to establish some kind of running game to make that pass attack work. So watch for that from the outset of this game tomorrow night. Their top back, Khalil Labourne, though, is not listed to play in this one. Now, if Hamilton prevails tomorrow night, they would be the first team to ever finish 4th in the CFL East with 8 wins. At 7 wins, they're already one of the 5 teams in the history of the CFL East to finish 4th with that many victories, tied with the 73 Ticats and also the Argos of 1976, 2000, and 2001. So they definitely picked an unfortunate year to get off to another poor start, something they'll vigorously try to avoid in 2025. Besides all that, the main storyline tomorrow night, and the one that most longtime Ticat fans will be looking at closely, is Levi Mitchell, who could become just the 10th quarterback in CFL history to win 100 games as a starter. Mitchell is coming off one of the great games of his career with 450 yards passing against his former team from Calgary, which vaulted him over the 5,000-yard mark for the first time since 2018, which was also the last time any CFL quarterback reached that plateau. If he can throw for 342 yards on Friday night, and that's not out of the question, he would eclipse Henry Burris' single-season franchise record set in 2012, the last year of Ivor Wynne Stadium. No question that Mitchell had his issues in the opening half of the season with ill-timed turnovers and forcing the ball into the wrong spaces. But the past 2 months, now on the same page with Milanovich, he's been terrific, and he leads all other quarterbacks by 1,000 yards. Think of that for a moment. 1,000 yards. That's nearly 25% more than anyone else in the league. Another marquee performance on Friday, and he just might end up as the most outstanding player finalist from the East. I'd like to revisit something Milanovich said earlier in the week about Mitchell reaching 5,000 last week, when most of us closely watching the team thought it would take both remaining games, if he got there at all.
He's grown. I don't really know what else to say about it. You know, the reps have certainly helped in the offense, the understanding of what it is. We as a coaching staff want our quarterbacks and our offensive players to do. I think all that factors into the improved play. Obviously, Bo's got a great pedigree of great football on his resume, and I'm happy for him. I'm happy that he's playing at this level and a little bit of a rebound in his career.
If the offense can get it going against a tough Ottawa defense, but one that can give up big plays on the back end, it's possible the Ticats could also have 3 1,000-yard receivers for just the second time in franchise history. The first time was in 2017. But Tim White is already there. Stephen Dunbar Jr. is just 21 yards short, and Keandre Smith, who's been terrific and is the team's nominee for most outstanding Canadian player, needs 119 yards and is very hungry to get to 1,000. Here's something that fascinates me about White, and it was triggered by an observation by R.J. Broadhead, voice of the Ticats. RJ noted in a casual conversation last week that unless he has a really off game and Dunbar has the biggest game of the year, White will be the Ticats' leading yardage receiver for the fourth straight season. RJ wondered aloud when that last happened, so I woke up very early this morning, searched through all my files, and decided to find out. The answer? Never. White already is one of only four men to lead the Ticats in receiving yards 3 years in a row. And listen to these other names who also had three. Tommy Grant from 1964 to 66, Tommy Joe Coffey from 1967 to 1969, and Earl Winfield from 1993 to 1995. Hall of Fame, anyone? Now, Coffey and Winfield were the leading receivers 4 times in 5 years, but never 4 in a row. And the year Coffey didn't place first, he was second on the team to Dave Fleming by only 14 yards. And the magnificent Earl Winfield also won 4 in 5 years and actually led the team 5 times in 6 years. That's how great he was. And remember, Tony Champion and, for a couple of years, Steve Stapler also played with him. So yes, Tim White is in pretty good company. Now, with the leading narratives being the commitment to winning and, of course, Levi Mitchell, the Ticats have made only one roster change to the lineup, which got out to such a great start in beating Calgary last week. Fleet-footed receiver and return specialist Isaiah Wooden comes onto the roster, with Sam linebacker Carthel Flowers-Lloyd coming off. While the Cats aren't really using this game to test players for next year, this is the one exception. Here's Milanovic on what the former Southern Utah University player brings. He's listed as a starting returner, but won't be alone in that capacity.
I mean, it's going to be by committee. He's not going to be taking all the returns. Quick, explosive, talented kid. I mean, that's we're trying to find out how good he is, right? So he earned the right to get an opportunity. We'll see how much he plays.
Other news today includes the signing of place kicker Marc Liegghio to a 2-year extension. They've negotiated for only about a week, so got the deal done pretty quickly. The man they call Legs is having a solid year with an 89% success rate on field goals. Any other season, and he'd be widely celebrated for that. But it's got a bit lost in the race for the all-time career percentage mark by BC's Sean White, Calgary's Rene Paredes, and Ottawa's Lewis Ward, Leggio's opposite number tomorrow night. Here's Liegghio on that veteran trio and on successfully betting on himself this year, which has paid off in a new contract. Liegghio has missed only 5 of his 44 field goal attempts this year and has made 11 in a row, hit 1 from 55 yards, and beat Toronto to keep the Ticats' playoff hopes alive from 48 yards into a strong win on the final play of the game.
You can only control what you can control, right? Like, you know, some guys gotten 60 attempts, some guys gotten 40, 30 attempts. So it's like whatever you're put in front of you, you make the most out of it. And like, you know, my thing is just going 1 for 1. Like I said, if it's a kickoff, punt, field goal, whatever, just go out there and do your job. And I think I did a pretty solid job this year. You know, obviously, you know, trying to get in the 90s is like the goal every year. And, you know, just kind of keep growing and get better as each year goes on. But the guys that are killing it this year, you know, kicking's just been great in this league this year, and it's been great for a while. So kudos to those guys. Those guys are, you know, obviously the greats, and, you know, just always keep the great seasons coming. I'm happy I had like 2 consistent seasons here with the Ticats, and you know, I just love playing for the organization, the community, and everything here just feels like home, and it's kind of why I wanted to sign back, and just being able to play for the next 2 years in Hamilton is an awesome feeling.
Milanovic on re-signing his kicker.
You know, I'm happy that guys that are doing well. We talked about him yesterday with the award. It's good to see the guys that are doing well want to be back here.
With long snapper Gordon White under contract and punter and place kick holder Nick Constantino likely returning next year, although he could get a look at some NFL minicamps, the whole operation could return for another season together. And that exemplifies something about the Ticats as they head into the offseason. In the CFL, with its rampant free agency, you can never step in the same river twice. Teams change every season, and significantly most times. But the Ticats broke in a lot of new players this year and have more under contract than most outsiders would assume. On offense, those under contract include 4 of the 5 starters on the offensive line, plus backup Nate Dumoulin-Duguay and injured tackle Quentin Barrow, who actually started when he was healthy. Center David Beard isn't signed, but I'd be surprised if that isn't taken care of fairly quickly. Receivers Stephen Dunbar Jr. and Keandre Smith are free agents, and I'd guess they'd be a focus in the coming weeks. But the rest of the receivers can be brought back, and all 4 current quarterbacks are under contract. That's a huge asset. On defense, 3 of tomorrow's 4 starting defensive linemen, Brendan Barlow, Casey Sales, and Dwayne Hendricks, are signed, as are 5 of tomorrow's 7 linebackers. And the entire boundary side of the vastly improved secondary is back. Injured Jamal Peters, halfback Destin Talbert, and safety Stavros Katsantonis. And I'd wager that ex-NFLer Cameron Dantzler's back if he doesn't get another shot south of the border. I think he'd have started the past couple of games had he not been injured. That's a lot for a team in this volatile CFL era, and they come at key positions, notably quarterback, offensive line, kicking, and secondary. But we'll be talking more about that over the coming days, I'm sure. Meanwhile, this is it for the 2024 Ticats. It's the earliest the Ticats season has ended since the bankruptcy year of 2003, sadly. Now, thanks for your time today for this road report. And remember, Friday is game day, and we'll have lots of content, discussion, and analysis all day on Ticats Audio Network, highlighted by the pregame and postgame with Bubba and Mike Daly, and play-by-play with RJ and Luke Tasker. Please return Saturday afternoon to catch Ticats Today when we recap Friday night's game and Saturday's season-ending locker room cleanout. Always a bittersweet occasion.
This has been the Road Report with Steve Milton, presented by Hercules Tire. Go to ticats.ca for more in-depth coverage of the Tiger Cats at home and on the road.